to the Donna Thorne special. My name is Donna Thorne, and our topic today is Afro-Americans from past to present. What I'm going to do is introduce our guest, and our first guest is Nadine West.
Hello, Donna.
Hi.
Good to be with you again.
Oh, fantastic. I'm glad you're here. And we'll go down the way and have everyone else. Wayne Domingo.
Hi.
Hi. Would you like to say a little something to them?
It gives me great pleasure to be here today.
Great. Okay. And Dr. Geek.
Hey, what's happening? I'm Dr. Geek, and it's a privilege and an honor for me to partake in sharing knowledge of some notable blacks, in the past to help us in the future. So I'm just glad to be here on your show.
Great. Now we have Tap Hey Lay Lou.
Hi, I'm happy to be on your show today.
Okay. We're happy to have you all. We're going to talk a little bit about Afro-Americans, the past of Afro-Americans, and Nadine is going to start off with that. But what we're going to do, we're going to go to a presentation first that Wayne has said. And this is really beautiful. Wayne Domingo, he's given a message to everyone out there in the world who watches this show. Check this out.
As we gather here today on this occasion, it gives me great pleasure to speak on behalf of empowerment of African Americans, past and present. Let us journey back into the past to see how our African American people fought and struggled to achieve power. And further along, we will look into the future to see what it is that we must do to maintain that struggle. During the past, African Americans were not able to speak up for themselves. Therefore, they were unable to gain power. But out of determination, courage, internal strength, and perseverance, they believed that in spite of adversities, they would overcome their greatest obstacles, which were racism and discrimination. It is a must that we acknowledge some of the great African American leaders who fought and struggled for power among our race. Martin Luther King, who believed in freedom of speech and freedom of equality, tried to fight racism and discrimination by having assemblies and civil rights movements. He was one of the greatest commentators that ever lived. His topic was to talk about the major fields of prejudice. He believed that violence was not necessary to accomplish power and certain freedoms. Malcolm X, who was also a powerful leader, tried to end racism and discrimination in his own way. Unlike Martin Luther King, he believed that African Americans should do whatever it takes to achieve their goal, which in this case was power. His famous quote, "By any means necessary," caused people to believe that there were many different types of ways to enforce power. We must realize that what these two leaders and many other great leaders did for us was done out of courage and strength, which has left us with trust among ourselves. The legacy of that trust must go on, and it is up to us to decide where we as a race must fall in terms of power.
Oh my God, that was great. Thank you, Wayne. That's fantastic. Wow. God, that's a beautiful message. I know a lot of people got a lot out of that. I did. Would you like to discuss that with us a little bit? Tell us how.
Well, first of all, I think that it is important for every African American to know about their past, to know about their history, because African Americans do have a great history, and that is why I feel that I should share it with everyone else.
Oh, great. Wow.
That's really wonderful. The first time I heard Dwayne speak was it was quite an experience for me, because it was the first time that I'd heard a young person stand up with such power and speak with such positiveness. So he's just been a blessing to me.
Wow, I want to thank you.
A wonderful blessing.
Thank you for bringing him on the
Yes.
show. Yes. So when you went to hear Wayne speak, could you tell us a little bit about, what he was speaking in front of and all? I know he's 16 years old, and this is fantastic for a 16-year-old to talk like this.
It really
speak like
was.
this.
When I heard Wayne speak about our past and how important it was that we know our past, it left quite an impact on me. And then as he continued on, I sat there and I listened to him, and I thought to myself that even though this is a young man, a young teenager, I could learn from him. I could learn from him. Adults can learn from him. The Bible says a little child shall lead them. And when I heard Wayne speak, that was prominent in my mind because there was so much wisdom there within that speech to encourage us as adults to go on and not to be stagnated by our environment or the things that happen, the challenges that we face on a daily basis, but to gain strength because of them and to move forward and keep our goals in mind.
Yes.
And I also think it's important that young folks like this lead the way to other young folks, because I can remember when I was young and how the speeches of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, inspired me to want to do something for all people.
That's right.
And, we need to let people know that we have a beautiful history too. We've did as much as anybody else to make this country and the world a strong place. And we are some beautiful people. So, hey man, I want to encourage you, to go ahead on and just, remember that what you do can affect people. And once young people know that we have something proud that we can hold on to, then they don't have to look at the gang mentality. They don't have to feel we have to do wrong to get noticed, because I believe a lot of young folks out there just crying for attention, and young blacks need to know, we need to come up with like a rite of passage. Okay, back in the old mother country, when a brother like this was about to become a manhood, he took him out the village and took him through the jungle. He had to either skin a lion or chop down a monkey or something. I ain't making jokes, but I don't know exactly what. But then when he came back with that on his head, he was a man. And when I hear you, bro, you speaking like a man. Make me proud of you. Yes. So keep on going, man.
Yes.
That's right. As we look back in our history, though, we have our forefathers fought against insurmountable odds at times to achieve their goals, and the fact that they were in slavery didn't stop them. The fact that they were oppressed did not stop them. The fact that they did not have hardly anything at all did not stop them from moving forward with their goals. And I think that's one of the things that our young people really need to realize, where we come from and how hard our forefathers fought to get us to where we are today. And they need to be aware of the inventors that existed back in those days and the great contributions that our people made to this society to help make it what it is. For instance, you have here a little write-up about a gentleman named Garnet A. Morgan, who was an inventor. And Wayne, why don't you just tell us a little bit about Mr. Morgan?
Well, Garnet A. Morgan invented the gas mask as well as the traffic sign. He successfully rescued several men trapped in Cleveland's waterworks to 100 feet below the surface of Lake Erie. He also utilized white males to market his gas mask once his racial identity became known. Mr. Morgan also received $40,000 from General Electric for his patent of this traffic signal. He received a gold medal from the city of Cleveland for his outstanding contribution to public safety.
And that's something, I wonder how many young people realize that one of our forefathers was responsible for the traffic light. Now, that's not to say that there wasn't a system already invented, because there was, but what Garnet Morgan added was the yellow signal, because the cars were still, the people were still running into each other. They were still having accidents because they had the stop and the go, but no one knew really when to stop or go. So they were still colliding with each other. And Garnet Morgan said, well, you know, we need something in the middle to let them know that the stop, the red light or the stop is getting ready to come up, and that the go signal is getting ready to come up. You know, so he invented the stoplight as we have it today, with the yellow signal in between.
Gosh.
Yes. Isn't that marvelous?
Yes, everybody needs to become more aware of this.
That's right.
A lot of people don't know anything
That's
about
right.
Those things.
And for my own question, can I ask you, is there a book that we can go and refresh our memory or even learn up on all these inventors and musicians? Is there a specific book that they have that we can go to, like a black bookstore and get?
Well, you know what I did? I went to USC. I went to USC in the library, and they are very helpful, and they have a whole section on Black history that's there for you to just sit down and study at will. And you don't have to be a student to go in and sit down and study. You could just go in. You can't take anything out, but you can make copies and other material that you want to study. And that's very good. Dr. Geek, you also have some information for us.
Right. Well, we have another inventor. His name is Dr. William A. Hinton, medical scientist. He lived from 1883 to 1959. Long ago, he was one of the world's authorities on venereal disease. Dr. Hinton is responsible for the development of the Hinton test, a reliable method for detecting syphilis. He also collaborated with Dr. J.A.V. Davis on what is now called the Davies-Hinton test for the detection of the same disease. In 1931, at the Boston Dispensary, Hinton started a training school for poor girls so that they could become medical technicians. From these classes of volunteers grew one of the country's leading institutions for the training of technicians. That's Dr. William A. Hinton, a medical scientist.
All right.
Oh, yeah. That's great.
Some heavy stuff.
Why don't you go on? We have more information.
Okay, well, there was
It's
Lloyd
really
Augustus Hall. He was a chemist, born in 1894, as the chief chemist and director of research for Griffith Laboratories of Chicago. Lloyd Hall discovered curing salts for preserving and processing meats. You know, salt pork, chitlins, hog maw, stuff like that, yeah. Thus revolutionizing the meat packing industry. He has more than 100 patents registered for the processes used in the manufacturing and packing of food products, especially meat and bakery.
Now, you know, that's so important,
Yes.
because all of the food that we have today that is preserved, we're saying that this gentleman here is directly responsible for that, for that processing of the food so that it can be preserved and we can go in the stores and get it off the shelf.
Gosh.
You know, isn't that
great.
wonderful to know?
Yes.
It really is.
That's fantastic. So far, we've talked about 3.
That's right.
Okay. And their names again, and okay, the
Garnet,
he invented
Morgan,
the
stoplight.
stoplight.
William Hinton, Dr. William Hinton, he was responsible for the detecting venereal disease, and Lloyd Augustus Hall, he was developed the process for preserving meats.
Right, and the gas mask, remember that?
That's right, that was Mr. Morgan.
Okay, Mr. Morgan.
Right, the gas mask.
Wow.
You know, when I was studying about Mr. Morgan and the gas mask and the way that it was made, actually it's what we use today, the tank that you put on the back when you scuba dive, it's something, it's made on that same order. You could say that the idea for the scuba diving gear came from the gas mask that was created by Mr. Morgan.
Wow.
Isn't that something to know?
Yes.
Because he had a tube that ran from the mask and to some air, that was hooked onto the back. And so he was able to breathe this air for at least 15 minutes at a time so that he could go in and rescue the people that were trapped there.
Wow.
You know, the sad part about it, though, was that when it was public knowledge that Mr. Morgan was a black man, he was no longer able to have his product marketed, and it came to a complete standstill. And then the only way that he could get his product out to the public was to have a Caucasian man present the invention for him, and he masqueraded as an Indian.
Oh.
Yes. But we use it today, you know, and these are the things that our children need to know, that they have a heritage to be proud of. And that's not just to say the inventors, but also God is in all of our lives, you know. And God has blessed each and every one of us with the ability to achieve and to go forward. And it's up to our young people to realize that they have within themselves those same abilities to grow and to learn and to invent and explore and to bring forth to our world their own creations. Their own creations.
This lets them know anything is possible, you know, that you imagine you can create. You know,
that's
because,
right.
You have the ability and the knowledge and the wisdom which God gives, then do it. And don't be afraid to just use it because you have that talent.
I just want to say something very briefly. When I think of Wayne and Taipei, you know, you're role models for the day. A lot of times, mostly all we see is the bad side, you know, but we have good children. We have good children in our society, too, that are doing good things and that are trying to change their lives. Taipei, why don't you tell us something about the person that you learned about?
Well, many people probably don't know of this lady, but her name is Effie Lee Newsom, and she was a talented writer. She made children laugh. She wrote books. She wrote poetry, and she made a lot of things for children to make them laugh.
Oh, my. Yes. Well, and you're going to say a poem right now. Talking about poetry, I want you to watch this. Check this out. This is Taipei. She's saying a poem.
2, 1.
Time to get ready for another day, and I'm not sure what will come my way. It's not easy growing up in this world, and it's certainly not easy being a girl. Yesterday, a grown man tried to pick me up on the street, and I bet he does that to every young girl that he meets. But I didn't even give him the time of day, and I heard him cussing me out as I walked quickly away. One of the boys at school got caught with a gun. They say he stole it from home. Said he was gonna shoot a kid that did him wrong. Some girls I know were talking in the restroom. One said she met a fine boy who was so cool. This boy promised her a real good time. Said he could get her a bad high for a dime. Some of the kids that I know are dead and gone. Left for school or went out for a good time. Things went wrong and they just never made it back home. I don't want that to happen to me. There's just too much of this world I haven't seen. I'm going to do all that I can to stay safe this day. And remember the words my mom always say. There's only one person in this world that you can trust, and that's a man named Jesus. So walk, my child, in the shadow of God.
Oh my, that was beautiful. Taipei, gosh, I love that. Yeah. Gosh, you and Wayne, I know your families are proud of you. And Nadine wrote the poem, So this is a beautiful message. And talking about Afro-Americans from past to present, you're really giving a great message, you know, through that poem for everybody to, you know, get something out of. Tell me what inspired you to write that.
I'm concerned about our youth, Donna. There's no other way to put it. I'm very concerned about our youth. I'm concerned about where they're going. We have the mortality rate for our youth is dropping. I believe we've lost nearly a whole generation of children. And it's not necessary. Something has to be done to stop it. Something has to be done so that the children can realize how precious they are and how fragile life is and how valuable it is. God made us so perfectly and so beautifully, and He took time to do it. And He loves us with such a great love. And to see our children just throw their lives away and take other children's lives and never give each other the opportunity to grow and to develop and to invent. Yes. It's horrifying to me. So when I wrote the poem, that's what was in my mind, because I wouldn't want to be a child in this world. I would not. I thank God that I'm grown, but I believe that we as adults, we have a responsibility to do all that we can to help our young people to realize what is happening to them so that it can come to a stop. Don't you agree, Dr. Geek?
I agree. You know, and it all comes from structuring the home.
Yes.
That's where real unity and knowledge, and the worst thing that can happen to us as a people is to be ignorant of what we've done, you know. And so we need to take time and and encourage our young people to read, man. You know, pick up a comic book, pick up a TV guide, read, man. Go to the library and be proud of what we are, man. And a lot of y'all out there got a lot to offer, like these two young people on my side. And we can only encourage you, because after we're gone, y'all gonna have to carry the ball. So it's up to you. Okay.
Right. Taffy, I'd like to know a little bit with the poem. What do you think about the poem, the meaning of it, and what brought it out from within you? You know, the feeling.
Well, I think that it'll be helpful to today's youth, because it's true. What I just recited was true, and it's really happening in real life. And so today's youth need to be more informed about what's going on.
Oh, that's true. So,
and can I add to her, things ain't changed. Old guys been coming by in cars trying to pick up young ladies, you know, since I was in high school. And so ain't nothing changed, but they got to know how to put up that wall and say, I ain't going that way.
Is there anything you'd like to tell the young people your age?
Yes. I would like to say, if anyone ever approaches you in a car, don't go to them.
Okay. And what about you, Wayne?
Well, I think that everyone should take care of themselves, you know, stay out of danger, because within the school there's a lot of danger within our children. And I think that they should see themselves as leaders, not followers to others. So.
Right. Oh, that's beautiful.
I have just one other inventor that I would just like to share with you a little knowledge about. His name is Granville T. Woods. And Granville was, in his day, he was classified as being the Black Edison. Oh. Granville is responsible for the third rail that the train runs on. Mm-hmm. He invented the first two-way radio so that the conductors could speak to one another and lessen the accident rate, because they didn't have any way to communicate. So trains were colliding with one another.
Yes.
And Granville, he invented the first, so to speak, two-way radio so that they could speak with each other. And he also was responsible for the switch that changes the trains from one rail to another so they don't run into one another. He was responsible for doing that. Granville lived to be 56 years old, and during his lifetime, he invented over 60 patents, 60 inventions. And the electric company
That's fantastic.
uses these inventions to this day. They're more modernized now, but.
Oh my,
Yes.
that is beautiful. Well, I want you all to know that we've enjoyed sharing this information with you, and I want you to, go to your library and continue to watch this show. And if you have any questions, call the number at the end of the show. And remember who's been on the show so you can continue watching them. Thank you very much for watching the show. And we'll be back with you. God bless.